here in this first room, we're talking about the first group of Tesla's inventions. These are Tesla's induction motors. You can see some of them on this table in front of you, so let's say a little bit about them. Induction motors are machines that use electromagnetic induction to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. More simply, current into motion. And although they look very different here, they actually all consist out of the same main parts. First, we have the housing, which holds everything together. It's a part that doesn't move. That's why we call it a stator. It's a stator with a system of coils, which are copper wires. And then we have a rotating part which serves to create mechanical energy or movement, and this part we of course call rotor. When we apply alternating current through the coil system, we get the formation of the rotating magnetic field through the coils, which then affects the rotor. The rotor then follows this rotation, and that's how we get mechanical energy, that's how we get movement. So let's see on this model in the middle, how do they actually work? Please pay attention to this sound. I know it's a familiar sound, so can anybody tell me which machine makes a sound like this one?
Washing machine.
Yes, a washing machine. In fact, we can find induction motors within about 90% of our household appliances. If they're connected to electricity and have a rotating part inside, they have to have an induction motor within their system. But depending on the size and the needs of these appliances, we of course use different types of induction motors. So for bigger ones like washing machines or electric lawnmowers, we would use a motor like this one, like the first one, because it uses a lot more power than speed. But for smaller ones that don't need that much power, instead they use more speed, like mixers, blenders, hair dryers, fans, and for them we would use a motor like the one in the middle. His first induction motor, Tesla constructed in 1883 in Strasbourg when he was only 27 years old. And the replica you can find here in the glass. This one has a rotor in the shape of a disc. 10 years later, Tesla presented this induction motor at the World Exhibition in Chicago. This one is called Tesla's Egg of Columbus because the rotor is in the shape of an egg, and it's also completely separate from the rest of it, so we won't find this one applied like the others. Its purpose is to just impress on its own, which is exactly what Tesla needed. He needed more money for further projects, so he had to impress his sponsors. So then he was actually inspired by Christopher Columbus's riddle about an egg from 400 years before. The riddle was how to make an egg stand on its own top without any support. The way that Christopher Columbus solved this when his opponents couldn't was by boiling the egg and then simply cracking it, leaving a flat surface underneath. So Tesla was inspired and he decided to solve this riddle in his own way with the help of the magnetic field. You can see that the rotor is following the rotation of the magnetic field. It takes a few moments. And the egg-shaped rotor is on its own top without any support. So, these machines, induction motors, are actually considered to be one of the most important inventions. Not just because they're so applicable today, but also because they mark the beginning of the second industrial revolution, which began with one of the most important projects of that time, the project of the hydroelectric power plant at Niagara Falls. And on this plate here, you can find all of the patents which were used in the making of the project. So later, you can come closer and see for yourself. You'll make sure that, as you heard in the movie, out of 13 patents, 9 belong to Tesla. So most of the project. What Tesla managed to prove with this project is that it is a lot easier and cheaper to use alternating current AC versus direct current DC, because AC can travel much, much longer distances through cables all the way to our homes and our machines, that are connected to electricity so that we can then power them. So this concludes this part. I'm going to ask you to move into the next room right behind you, gather around the biggest machine in there, and I will meet you there in a moment.
Se è simile ai pesci sopra. Вот был основоположник электрических явлений, как электрика, да, понятно, и вот эти трансформаторы, на как электричество, это он все разработал, ему не верили, не верили. Так как бы тоже, наверное, думал, он обманывает, я не знаю. Магнитный огонь.
Hi guys, follow me. You can stand on the stairs, don't go up, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You can stand on the stairs, don't go up, okay?
This here is a transformer. In the second room, we're talking about the second group of Tesla's inventions, Tesla's transformers. This one here, Tesla's big transformer, Tesla's big coil that has output voltage of 500,000 volts, so 500,000 volts. It serves to amplify voltage, but it can also be used for wireless transmission of electricity, which we will have a chance to demonstrate today. It consists out of two main parts plus one independent part. So first we have the primary coil, then we have the secondary coil, and then the third part is the independent part. It's the independent grounding, which is in this case in the shape of a sphere. And when we apply current of low intensity to the primary coil, it creates a strong magnetic field, which then generates the current in the secondary coil, sending it to its nearest grounding, in this case, this sphere. What you will then see and hear is a discharge of 500,000 volts. So you'll see a lightning and hear a very loud sound. The air around the transformer will become ionized, the room will be filled with electricity, and then you'll conduct this electricity by the surface of your skin to its final grounding, the ground. We will be using these neon lamps to prove that even though we cannot see these ions, wireless transmission of electricity is possible because these lamps will light up in your hand wirelessly during the electrical discharge. Okay, now I'm going to need volunteers. Please be careful with the lamps. You can hold it together. Okay, now the rules. I need everybody to listen to me very carefully because we need to follow rules for this experiment to be successful but also safe. So I need everybody behind this fence to be one step away from the fence. One step back. We're going to hold the lamp and at the bottom of the lamp and straight. Do not point your lamps to the transformer. Do not cross this fence. Like that? Yes. No more. No stay behind the fence the entire time. It is going to be loud. Don't get scared. You won't feel anything.
You can stay here if you want, or you can go down here right to join the group. Okay?
Now we're going to move over here. Yes, a little bit more on this side. Over here, guys.
Yes. Go back and right.
It works by the same principles as the big one, but it's a smaller one with lower output voltage. In this case, that is 120,000 volts. And when we take neon lamp, you can see that the same thing happens as it did here. Same principles apply in both cases. But when I move this lamp away from the transformer, you see it only lights up when it's closer. Once I move it further away, it doesn't light up anymore. Why? Because there's a certain range of the ions that we mentioned. And of course here it's a much smaller range than here, because well, this is a much smaller transformer. Lower output voltage and of course less of the air is ionized. We can also separate the lamp using our hand. One part of the lamp lights up more than the other. Which one? Always the one that's closer to the transformer. So always look for the shortest path with grounding to the ground. So that is through the first and closest part of the lamp, my hand, my skin, and then the ground. That's exactly what happens when you are holding the lamps here, because it went through your lamp, surface of your skin, and then the ground. And that's called a skin effect because it only travels on the surface of your skin. But in this case, we don't have the independent grounding. We can use something else in this case to become the grounding. Does anybody have an idea what that could be? What can we use as the independent grounding? Yes, ourselves. So we, actually the surface of our skin, we can touch the lightning, let it travel directly on the surface of our skin straight to the ground. Why is this safe? Even though the voltage is high, the intensity of electricity is extremely low. So it's not strong enough to harm you, you only feel a tingle. Now, who wants to try?
This guy.
Okay, don't touch it, just right here. Okay? Oh, yeah. Does it hurt? Yeah. Just a tickle. Okay, anybody else want to try? What's your position?
Onur.
Я боюсь.
Не стоит.
Ama eli kapalı oluyor canım o
He
zaman.
didn't
Eğer bu
end up
tarafa doğru
receiving the
yaparsan.
Nobel Prize, but he did get something that's probably even more valuable, which is a derived unit in the SI system named after him. So his own unit, T Tesla, for magnetic induction. Now, when you move to the second part through the hall, you'll see some of Tesla's personal belongings. For example, his suit, by which we can conclude he was very tall. He was about 190 centimeters tall. You can also see his portrait called the Blue Portrait, which is the only one he ever agreed to sit and pose for. All the rest are photographs, of course. And behind this portrait is the most important part of the museum because there you'll find Tesla's urn containing his ashes. And because he never married or had any children, after his death, his closest relative was his nephew, Sava Kosanovic, who was then the one responsible for all of his belongings, which he helped bring here to Belgrade in 1951 by ship from the US. And only a few years later, this museum was founded. He was initially buried at the Orthodox Cemetery in New York, but after they've been bringing all of his stuff and all of his belongings here, they decided to bring him as well. So his body was exhumed, cremated, and then his ashes were put in a spherical urn, which you can find here today at the museum as well. So behind the portrait, you'll find his urn, and that urn arrived here in 1957. And since then, this museum wasn't just a technical museum of Nikola Tesla, but also his memorial museum, because this is where he rests. Thank you so much for your attention. You're free to go look around the rest of the museum. For any questions, feel free to ask. Please just don't use this by yourself. You can ask me. But other than that, that will be all for me today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Sure. You can take a video. You know what you can do? You can touch it.
Because mine was not like without
Al. Oltasından tutsana bak şimdi. Bırak. Oltasından tutsana. Kızım sen de yap.
Ali sen de yap. Sen de Ali'ye ver.
Saklamalarının dondu. Evet ortasından tut. Benim saklama alanı dondu diyorum.
Biri çekebilir. Çekebilir.
Seninkini çektik
Zeynep
ya.
çeker misin?
Hadi geç Zeynep sen.
Videoyu çeker misin?
Saklanan
Ali
Bekle alakalı bir daha.
bir daha yap.
Yaklaştır.
Tamam. Valla ne olursa oldu, olmadıysa olmadı, yapacak bir şey yok. Ben de yapayım.
Benim saklama alanım dondu.
Kızım dur. Bir saniye. Çekiyoruz. Çek.
Elini uzatmak zorunda. Kızım korkma.
Çok korktum. Ben 5 kere çaldım. Geç sen. Ben çok korktum.
Tamam.
Yok sıfır dedim ben.
Ben demin dokunduydum.
Geçelim. Tamam tekrar. Baba çek. Tamam tamam. Teyze beni de çek. Geç. Tarık seni çekiyorum. Güzel. Teyze sen çekemedin. Ama şey yapacağım.
Burayı çekememişim.
Tamam geç Ali. Ali.
Gel.
Tamam çekiyorum. Hadi Ali. Dokun. Bana bak Ali.
Biraz daha yaklaş.
Tamam. Geç. Veysel geç.
Sen çarpsın gel. Nasıl? Çakmak çevirdik ya. Allah belanı versin.
Maybe after it's fine. Yeah, but they're saying for the next hour. Sorry?
They're saying no for the next
Excuse me. Thank you.
Çok güzel.
Çekirdek biz çekirdek.
İki mi çekecek? Ayrı mı? Ayrı değil. Burası. Buraya alayım. Ben ayrı. Gel al.
Anladın mı?
Amerika'da Sovyetlere ya.
Yüz kaşık.
Dışarıda var mı?
Thank you.
If you want to tour at 6, you need to be here as early as you can because only the first 50 people go to the museum. If you're not